and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light, for whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore he says, "Awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light."
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. So I want to talk to you about Lil Nas X. This has been trending lately. It's something that is actually something I wanted to make a video on, just concerning the whole looking at how men are kind of being pictured today in society, what has become acceptable, what is not acceptable, and we're going to talk a little bit about the garden as well and some of the other references that are made in this video called Montero, and which is also Call Me By Your Name. And so it's really interesting, just starting off with the title, if you do a little research, the meaning of this name actually is a Spanish surname, and it says meaning the occupational name for a beater or other assistant at a hunt from an agent derivative of monte, which as well as meaning mountain or hill. So it's really interesting here is that it's the assistant at a hunt. And why that's so important is because throughout this whole music video, the music video takes you from beginning in the garden and it takes you all the way through this point where Lil Nas X descends into hell. He basically seduces the devil, breaks his neck, and then takes his position. And so that's really interesting just in terms of the name itself. Another interesting thing just to bring up, I'm going to go back here, is it says, Call me by your name. I really do believe that this is a direct kind of slap in the face to Christians where we see this type of language, 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. And so this is right, that a lot of this is also, blasphemous in this sense to kind of throw that in your face. And so I can't play parts of the video because, this will get strikes for copyright and probably removed and blocked around the world because we know YouTube goes to pretty lengthy extremes in order to suppress certain voices on this platform. And so I wouldn't say watch it because it's just despicable. But I will take you through some images as much as I have the ability to do so, to try to not get this video removed. And so I want to start off just by talking about the very beginning of this video. So there are some images that we're going to take a look at, and we're going to see some of the references that are made. And so if I open up, see, I'm going to open up a screenshot for you here. Okay. I want to start off right away by going down to one of the earlier images. You're kind of taken through to this kind of fantastical sort of land, and you see these ancient ruins there in the background, which indicate different civilizations throughout time. We know that the enemy has been around from that very beginning of the time he was created, and so he's also been around from the creation of man. And so that's an important point. And one thing that we're seeing here is there's this point in the garden where the serpent comes and we see Lil Nas X kind of here, and he has a kind of sexual type of relationship with this creature, which if you look up the picture of the creature, it's quite disturbing. But he kind of looks almost like this alien, almost like the Akkadian type of look, right? We have that ancient aliens thing that people ascribe to, thinking of the Watchers, right? All of that is kind of how he's depicted here, also with the tail then of a serpent. And so he's coming and he starts kissing. It's really disgusting, but starts to kiss the being here, which doesn't even look human. But just to reference the garden, right? And so they're coming together. And I believe that this is a direct kind of homage, I want to say in a strange way, to some of the terminology that is used in the garden. And the reason that I say that, okay, is because if we look at Genesis 3, there's something important to pick up here. Okay, when we talk about knowing, the form of the word knowing is a more intimate know. So we have Genesis 3, where it talks about the fall of man, verse 5, for God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And so if I scroll down to see the word knowing, it's yada, it's H3045, if you want to look up the etymology of the word and how it's used to know. But this same word, okay, has a more intimate meaning. When we talk about knowing, there is this intimate meaning here. If I go to Genesis 4, it's the same know that is used when it says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Now, I'm not saying that there is theory that, that Eve and the serpent, they had sex. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I am saying is that there is a reference here, especially in the imagery and the connection between evil and mankind, that does inquire a more intimate knowing. Okay, that there is a level of intimacy involved in what is known. And so when we think about coming together, or this idea of being as one, John 17:21 says that they all may be one, as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you sent me. And so there is this idea of connection, right, that is involved when we think about the spiritual aspect of mankind, right? There's body, right? We have soul, and we have spirit. And so that's really important, right? Because those come together. And when we think about this concept of knowing, or this concept of coming together or being as one, that mankind in a way has essentially in coming to know good and evil, married itself to the world in some way. And that's why, right, we needed the redemptive plan of the Savior in order for him to come, and we become new creatures in Christ, right? We become born again, and we are born again in spirit, right? We're not physically born, out of our mother's womb again. And so I think a lot of this here is kind of a reference to that, right? To what happened there in Genesis, as we're seeing. And, there's also this idea that we see a reference to the fall of mankind. And so if I pull up this image for you, right, going back to this idea of coming, of knowing, and there is this idea present, okay, where there's a reference in the video as well to the fall of man, or I'm sorry, the fall of Satan, right, where he is a fallen angel, the heavens open, right, he is removed from his position, and you see human beings kind of coming up, which is a little strange as well, almost like coming together in some way, which this is hinting at, this type of symbolism. And so what happens next in the video, okay, we see that after this fall starts to happen, he comes out and he takes on this kind of human form. And as he's going to take this human form, he goes down and he begins to descend, okay, into the lowest depths, as he's doing this on a stripper's pole. Again, it's a man, okay, with the boots and everything, descending down into the lowest depths of hell. And then finally, he gets there, right? You see here he is at the gates of hell. Here he is with his hair, and it says 666 on the hair curls. And then we see that he's doing some less than choice things with the enemy, which I don't even want to click on this part. You can look this up for yourself, but just for respect out of the viewers, there is a really, he's basically giving him a lap dance, and it's disgusting and inappropriate. And then eventually he breaks his neck, places on himself the horns of Lucifer, these wings come from him and his eyes get whited out. This is actually a very similar image as to what, if you look at the Busta Rhymes video, which I covered, right, when the kids take the mark of the beast, this is the similar eyes that they would then have. Okay, and this idea around seducing or around seduction. And so there is a portion of this video where, when he was in the garden, there was something that was written as imagery on the tree, and it's in Greek. And if you do the translate to Greek, it says, because nature has been cut, they each desire half, which is really interesting. Because nature has been cut, they each desire half. And so there is this idea that's hinting to about unity, about oneness, about the duality of nature, the duality of man, right? They have the sacred goddess, and then they have is the effeminate, and then you have the male. And all of this is tying back in, okay, with very occult practices and beliefs, which tie back to the Baphomet. Okay, so there's the Baphomet. Again, there's the horns. We have the witchcraft, right? This is a symbol of magic where we see the two serpents, right? There's a duality, black and white, good and evil. You see the hooves there as well. We have night and day. We have as above, so below, right? And then there's the wings for the fallen angel. And then again, it's a kind of a mixing, right? You would think that maybe this would be male, sort of, also mixed with beast, but then it has breasts as well. And so this is right. This is what they worship. This is what they are truly paying homage to. Well, now this Lil Nas X isn't the first or last time we've seen this idea of a male being represented as in some way taking on portions of female. We see this, it's normal, right? Here's Justin Bieber in Yummy. He has his hair painted pink. He has these lipstick, pink eyeshadow, kind of looking very effeminate, right? This was when they first started to do that, he came out with a skirt and his Marilyn Manson shirt, again, paying homage to the enemy. And again, it's not the first or the last time that we've seen things like this. This has become a very common trend, especially in this generation. This is kind of the norm, right? There's that famous makeup guy, James Charles, and he's doing makeup, and he has his nails done and everything, and he's here doing Lil Nas X's makeup. And there's this idea, right, about emasculating men. You might be familiar with him. That's Bad Bunny, again, dressed up as a woman, looking very much like a woman here. And there's this idea to sex slaves. And you're going to see some common trends. I'm going to show you this image. Here's Lil Nas X in that same video where he has the chains all around him and he's kind of dressed as like the sex kind of slave. And we also see that here with Bad Bunny, right, being enchained. And what's even interesting here, we see the different horns around, and there's different, I think they're actually all women that are sitting on the different thrones, right? We know that there are thrones and dominions in the spiritual as well. And so they're all connected here. This idea of sex slavery, also wearing a very similar skirt that we saw Justin Bieber come out in. Again, it's the emasculating, right? It's the blending, the coming together. And again, here's this was from Saturday Night Live. Whenever they decided to talk about hell, here they have hell. They have the devil played as a woman who's wearing short hair, right? Kind of more of the masculine kind of look with the horns and everything. And again, like people think that this is just, oh, it's just interesting. It's just funny. It's just but you got to ask yourself, why is it always that the references that we're seeing to Christianity, to heaven and hell? I don't see anything here about, Muhammad's 72 virgins. I don't ever see anything about the Bhagavad Gita. I don't ever see anything about Ganesh or all of these other, gods that are worshipped. And so it's quite interesting to me, right? You got to ask yourself, at what point does it become, why is it so Christianity that's apparently culturally pervasive? And so it can't just be constantly making fun of Christians or Christianity. There's got to be something to it. You have to ask yourself those questions, right? So Old Town Road, this is where he kind of got a lot of his popularity. Now, why is this important, especially for Christians or for what, people listening to certain types of music? This is featuring Billy Ray Cyrus. And Billy Ray Cyrus, as we know, is connected with Miley Cyrus, where, a lot of my generation really kind of grew up with. And so, right, there's this connection here, and it's more quote unquote wholesome, I guess. But even some of the words that are here, you hear kids singing it all the time, saying, "You can't tell me nothing," right? This idea of enforcing rebellious behavior. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But if you want to see the other video where you see Bad Bunny kind of behaving the same way, this is the video. You can watch it. Again, I also recommend praying before you watch these things because they can really be quite disturbing. And then you have Cardi B, right? And she's doing something similar where you see her kind of straddling this creature here. And again, it's emerging, right? We talk about the fallen ones when they mated. We talk about mating with humanity. It says they took on for themselves wives from the daughters of men. And so there's this mingling where if you see the people, they're starting to look more and more demonic. They're starting to really appear. And so we talk about, right, the Bible talks about these things, Sodom and Gomorrah. It talks about the sexual immorality, the breaking of the constitution of marriage, this kind of idea where in the Grammys, there was the WAP performance. And this is what feminism has put out, right? This is what feminism says is the female empowerment. But I feel like that's the total opposite of female empowerment, because what you're saying is that the only thing that you have to offer is your sexuality. And that, again, right, like there's a lack of self-respect. There's a lack of, well, you're more than that, right? And so, but that is what is, what is popularized. That's where we're at. And I'm not going to show you all the pictures. Again, they're really just gross and disturbing, and for the sake of not wanting to cause anybody to occasion to stumble as well. If you've seen it, then you know what I'm referring to. Where Cardi B and this other female, they're performing, and this is public, right? They're on this big bed and they're doing things that of course also promote like I guess the sexuality between the two women. And so again, like this is what we've come to, right? This is popularized. This is normal. This is what we're saying is okay. This is what is going to get you that acceptance, right? And then we're wondering why young girls follow after this stuff. Well, this is what is socially acceptable. This is where this is where I get my value, right? Which is very unfortunate because this is how the enemy sees you, as nothing more than this, right? This sex toy. That's what you are. That is what your value is. And so God sees you as so much more than that, right? God sees you as a gifted, talented, beautiful daughter of the Most High God that is worthy, of a man who is going to treat you well and to love you, and to sacrifice and to be there for you. And on the same breath, right, that he has provided a position for you as well. And so again, I like this stuff. It's just, but it's great. It's commonplace. Okay. And we're seeing the same kind of thing, which is creepy. It's almost this Cardi B, which if you call her to look as a human, I guess, humanoid looking type thing, mating with this green creature, which also is kind of creepy. But and I just want to wrap up, right, with Lil Nas X, unofficial. If you don't believe this stuff is real, Satan Nikes containing human blood sell out in under a minute. Crossing the eye. Luke 10:18 refers to the fall of Lucifer. Nails painted black. We see these numbers here, right? We see 1/666 because they were selling 666 pairs. Nike claims to have not endorsed this whatsoever, but yet you can go on Nike and create any kind of shoe. They'll put their logo on, it's a blank shoe. And so here we go, Lil Nas X doing this. You can see the images here with the pentagrams, the upside down crosses, right? Like this is normalized. And it says, no, that there's actual human blood in the sole of the shoe, which is really just creepy on so many levels. And again, right, like if this wasn't so real, this wasn't so true, you got to ask yourself, why do they go to such extensive lengths to talk about the devil and hell? And, you have to ask yourself, it's got to be something obviously beyond just, oh, it's interesting. And so again, right, being unapologetic is really what they do. If you want to watch this video, here it is. It's Lil Nas X apologizes for Satan shoe. He pretends as if he's going to apologize, and then right after, he shows the most disgusting scene of him giving the devil a lap dance and kind of becoming one with the enemy. And so, right, it's there for you. It's in your face. And so I really hope that this video open your eyes to a lot of things. If you know somebody who likes this music or might be on the fence or is listening, show them this video, because this stuff is very real and it's not a joke. It's not, your eternal soul is not a joke. And so I hope that this was a little helpful and informing for you. And don't forget to give the video a like and share it, right? Sharing is how you beat the YouTube algorithm. Go forth in love, peace, boldness, and perseverance to preach the message of the gospel. Shalom and God bless you.